Episode 3, The Heater versus Larson.
December in Barton County had a way of sneaking up on you. One minute you were outside in a hoodie, tossing trash in the barrel fire, and the next your breath was fogging in front of you like you were inside a freezer at Kroger. It wasn't a brutal winter day. Not yet, but it was the first morning you could feel winter stretching its legs. The sun hadn't fully climbed up, just enough for a pale orange glow to spread across the frosted yard. Frank stepped into the garage, coffee mug in one hand, hoodie pulled tight, and stopped at the wall just long enough to flick on the lights. They hummed awake, dim at first, then brightening like sleepy kids getting dragged out of bed. The garage air hit him immediately. Cold, heavy, the kind that wrapped around your shoulders and pushed its way through your clothes like an unwanted uncle at Thanksgiving. Frank sighed and walked toward the old metal heater sitting in the corner. It was a relic older than Hudson, older than his last serious relationship, older than half the tools in the workbench drawer. A faded sticker on the side said ULA listed, but the UL part had peeled off, and now it just read listed, which felt about right. He set his coffee down and flipped the switch. The heater hummed. The heater rattled. The heater whined like it hadn't been given enough attention. Then, boom. Spark-pop-PSSS. A burst of sparks shot straight out the side like someone lit a Roman candle indoors. A flash of light ricocheted off the lawn chair. A tiny smoke puff curled upward, and Larson screamed. Not barked, not yelped, not growled. He screamed a bulldog panic shriek that sounded like a toddler discovering gravity. He jumped sideways, skidded across the concrete like a hockey puck, and hid behind Frank's lawn chair, his entire green sweater trembling like a loose car hood at 70 miles per hour. Frank blinked twice. Well, damn. Harry sat at the workbench, same spot he always sat before the sun even fully existed. Sandpaper in one hand, mason jar in the other, breath steady as a statue. Without looking up, he said, "Yep, heater's dead. Put her on the prayer chain." Frank glanced back at Larson, who peeked around the lawn chair like the heater might charge at him. "Bud, it's okay." Frank tried. "It's dead. DAD dead." The kitchen door swung open, and Diane appeared, wrapped in her oversized robe, fuzzy slippers, and a cigarette that looked surgically attached to her lip. She waved smoke out of her face. "What in the holy hell did you blow up before coffee?" Frank pointed at the heater. Diane set one hand on her hip. "Of course. That thing's been trying to murder this house since Bush was president." Larson practically melted into the concrete. Hudson stepped into the garage behind her, phone already out. He turned the camera toward Larson and whispered like a documentary narrator. Day 3 of winter. Larson's officially broken. With the heater pronounced dead at the scene, the garage fell into a cold silence, well, except for Harry sanding, something that didn't need sanding, and Diane muttering about men and electricity and insurance deductibles. Frank sat on the edge of the lawn chair beside Larson, scratching his head. The dog wouldn't even look at him. His big bulldog eyes were glued to the heater like it might pop off the floor and chase him. "Great, my dog's got PTSD from warmth," Frank muttered. Hudson lowered his phone. "Dad, he won't come in at all." Frank tested it. He stood up and stepped to the middle of the garage. "Larson, come on, buddy." Larson shuffled exactly 1 inch backward. Not forward backward, away from the trauma corner. Diane crossed her arms. "You boys better fix this. That dog's my entertainment. I can't have him outside Putin like someone stole his Cheerio." Harry snorted. That heater lit him up like New Year's Eve. I'd be scared too. Ricky walked in right then, halfway through an energy drink for no reason, hoodie half unzipped, flannel shirt underneath that, absolutely did not match. "Hey, why does Larson look like he owes somebody money?" Frank pointed. Heater blew sparks. Dog thinks the garage is cursed. Ricky gasped dramatically. "My boy got traumatized." "Buy a box." Hudson rolled his eyes. It was a metal box with electricity. Ricky already had his arms around Larson like they were in a soap opera. "Don't you worry. Uncle Ricky's here. I'll fix the heater vibes." Frank sighed into his coffee. 10 minutes later, Ricky returned with a small box he claimed he found in the back of his truck. It said portable hearth heater on the side with a picture of a fireplace that was definitely photoshopped. "Look at this thing," Ricky said proudly. "Dogs love fake fireplaces. It's science." Frank read the box. "It's literally rated for decorative use only." Ricky plugged it in anyway. It lit up inside with red LEDs, trying their best to look like fire. Then it made a loud CLICK hum-mim BZZZT. Larson launched himself out of the doorway like he'd been shot from a cannon, sprinted behind the grill outside, and reevaluated his entire life. Ricky frowned. He'll warm up to it. Frank stared at him. "Rick, the dog just hit Mach 3. Around that time, Doug pulled up, sipping a steaming gas station fountain drink. He held up a flat package, found this heated dog pad at Speedway. It was next to the antifreeze. Seemed promising. Frank raised an eyebrow. They sell dog beds next to windshield wipers. Doug nodded, like that made perfect sense. He plugged it in. It smelled like a melted credit card within 45 seconds. Diane opened the house door just long enough to yell, "Unplug that before that dog becomes part of the floor." Doug blinked. Oh, right. Larson wanted nothing to do with it. Harry stood from his stool, unplugged everything with one sweep of his hand, then lit a lantern and set it on the floor. "This," he said, "is how you heat a space." Frank stared at him. "Pop, that's a lantern." "Yep. You're heating exactly 1 square foot." "Yep," Hudson whispered. "It's not even warm over there." Harry took a sip. Worked in 82. Cheryl Ann quietly poked her head into the garage like she was entering a funeral home. "Hey, sorry. Is it safe to come in?" "No," Diane answered immediately. "But come on." Cheryl Ann tiptoed toward Larson, who gave her a look like she was the heater's accomplice. "Oh, sorry," she whispered to him, even though Larson did not request an apology. By early afternoon, everyone had wandered off, leaving Frank alone in the cold garage, cracking open a beer. The heater corner looked like the scene of a crime. Larson sat just outside the threshold like the garage was lave. Frank crouched down. "Come here, bud." Larson's chest vibrated with a small whine, but he wouldn't step inside. "Okay," Frank sighed. "Okay, I get it." Hudson appeared behind him with a can of root beer. "Dad, maybe we just need a heater that doesn't scare him." Frank looked at Larson. The little guy wanted in so bad, but fear kept him anchored. Frank smiled. Yeah, all right, let's go fix this." Hudson smiled. "Finally, a good idea." Diane yelled from the house. "If y'all buy anything that explodes, you're not allowed back inside." Frank rolled his eyes. Yeah. Frank opened the garage door, slapped on his coat, and grabbed his keys. Ricky hopped into the back of the pickup before Frank even opened his door. Doug followed, climbing into the back like they were on a parade float. Hudson slid into the passenger seat. "Dad," he said, buckling in, "please don't let Ricky test anything electrical in the store." No promises. The drive to the hardware store was the usual chaos. Ricky banging on the roof, Doug tapping the back window every time he had a thought, which was often, and Hudson watching Larson's sweater fluff blow around in the wind. At the store, they walked in as one dysfunctional unit. "Heat sections this way," Hudson said, pointing. Doug wandered toward power tools. Ricky beelined 2 wood stoves. Frank followed Hudson to the heaters. They tested everything. A tall tower heater that wobbled on carpet? Nope, Frank said. Ricky accidentally knocked it over. Double nope, Hudson said. An oil-filled radiator. Too hot, Doug said, shaking his glove. A ceramic cube. Too noisy. Larson would think it was growling. A wall unit. Diane would roast him alive for hanging that Energra. Then Frank spotted it. A patio-styled standing heater, tall as a person, with a built-in downward fan that pushed warm air like a soft breeze. Hudson pushed the button. The heater hummed alive. Quiet, steady, smooth. "That's it," Hudson said. Frank nodded. "That's the one." Ricky patotted it. "She's beautiful." Doug asked if they made "Can I put one in my truck?" versions. Frank ignored him. They hauled the heater into the pickup and tied it down like they were transporting the Ark of the Covenant. Back in the driveway, Frank unloaded the heater and carried it into the garage. He placed Larson's bed beneath where the warm air would blow. Everyone gathered around like they were witnessing a birth. Doug leaned against the bench. "All right, moment of truth." Harry leaned back in his chair. "Hope nobody dies." Cheryl Ann held her hands together nervously. "Sorry, I don't know why I'm nervous. Sorry." Marty finally wandered in, fringe jacket swaying, guitar slung over his back like he might break into a tune at any moment. "What's going on?" he asked. "Dog trauma," Ricky said. "Oh, yeah, happens." Frank pressed the switch. The heater turned on with a soft whooshful and gentle air moving downward like sunlight. Larson peeked in from outside. He sniffed. He tilted his head. His ears lifted just enough to show hope. Frank didn't say a word. He just sat in his lawn chair, watching. Larson took one step inside, then another. Then he circled his bed twice, sat, laid down, and exhaled the deepest bulldog sigh of relief anyone had ever heard. Ricky cheered. Doug clapped. Marty strummed a chord of triumph. Cheryl Ann whispered, "Sorry, I mean, yay." Harry nodded once, a full applause in his language. Diane flicked ash off her cigarette. "Good. Breed of dog like that shouldn't be cold anyway." Frank cracked a beer, leaned back, and smiled. "Good boy," he said softly. "Welcome back." The new heater hummed. Larson snored. The cold stayed outside. In the garage, for the first time that December, felt exactly like itself again. One heater explosion. One trip to Menards. One round bulldog finally back to snoring. This was life at Frank's place.
Well, if you made it all the way to the end, either you really liked the story, or your phone fell asleep before you did. Either way, I appreciate you. For the full Frank's Place episodes, previews, and miniseries, follow us on Facebook. That's where all the chaos lies. And for the full audiobook versions, subscribe to the Frank's Place YouTube channel, where the stories run longer than Harry's one-liners. This is Life at Frank's Place.